Hello, welcome to Breakfast All Day. I'm Matt, and here with Alonso and Christy. Our final movie today is the last movie in the Small Acts series, Education. These are the series of movies that have been all directed by Steve McQueen. This one's just out this week. Alonso, why don't you describe it for us?
Sure. So, as with all the Small Axe films, this is a period piece set in the West Indian community in London, and this one centers on a kid, about I'd say probably 11 years old,
He's
named
12.
12. Okay, sorry. Named Kingsley Smith, played by Kenyah Sandy, who you may recognize as one of the grandchildren at the beginning and end of Jingle Jangle. So he plays a school kid. His parents are both working multiple jobs and are exhausted all the time. And he has dreams of being an astronaut, but he has difficulty reading. And his school, yes,
Not just an astronaut.
and also to play for Tottenham FC. Yes, thank you. Anyway, so he has issues with reading, and his school, rather than help him with those, trucks him off to what they call a special school. But it turns out that special school is basically a place for kids with challenges to be completely ignored, but also to not drag down the test scores of the school that got rid of them. It is only when the West Indian women of the community start investigating and figuring out what's going on with their kids and where they're being sent off to, that they're able to sort of fight back against the system. And that involves getting Kingsley's mother involved, who at first is like, cannot be bothered with this stuff, played by Sharlene White. But when they, sort of politicize her and explain to her how the system is doing her kid wrong, and how by putting these kids into these special schools early on, they're basically fucking them for life. They're going to make it difficult for them to get jobs later. They're going to make it difficult for them to get housing later. It's basically like this systematic discrimination that they are beginning at a very early age to ruin people's entire long lives, that the community fights back. And so, like the other Small Axe films, it is about the strength of community and about the love of community and about how the only way to overcome oppression is for people to come together and make it stop. I think this is as good as anything in this series. I think they've all been great, but I love the very specific focus on children and how, racism aimed at children is so incredibly nefarious. I love that it's about the sort of political awakening of the mother character, who is, somebody who has already got so many burdens put upon her, but realizes she has to make mental time and energy for this to fix things for her family. I love this character. I love the woman who plays the psychologist who sneaks into the school to get the kids' names. She's great. I love how it's partially from the kid's point of view and partially from the mom's point of view. This is the whole Small Axe thing is one of my favorite things for this entire year, and I think Education is a great part of it.
So that's Naomi Ackie playing that woman who sneaks into the school.
Yes.
She was, she's not a huge character, but she's in Rise of Skywalker. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the news stories we skipped over is I think she's been cast as Whitney Houston in the upcoming Whitney Houston biopic.
I just saw a thing about that. Yeah, she was on the Hulu show The Bisexual. She was in Netflix's The End of the Effing World. So she's great in this.
Interesting. I just learned this today, talking about this on the radio with Katie Walsh, is that this story is very personal for Steve McQueen. This is like a semi-autobiographical story for him, that he suffered from dyslexia and had educational challenges as a child as well.
And so he had to go to Saturday school the way they do in the movie.
Yeah. So this is, of all the stories, this is the most personal for him. It's also, interestingly, it's the most straightforward visually and in terms of just its narrative structure. It's the most traditional. There aren't any frills about it. There aren't the kind of, it's not the visual artistic ambition of like a Lover's Rock, for example. But also in his hands, it is so much more than what it might have been on paper with a lesser filmmaker. It could have been like an after school special. It could have been mawkish, maudlin, and, feel good. And it's not. It's very straightforward. And from the very beginning, it grounds you in the daily reality of what this family is going through in, juggling to keep all these jobs. And in a very efficient space, he sets the tone for people coming and going and like cramming toast in their mouth and hauling ass out the door and getting their uniform on, and someone's coming
waiting
home from
for
work
the
or
one
someone's
bathroom.
leaving. Yeah, and so he establishes a lot very efficiently to let you know what the challenges are for this family anyway, and then Kingsley gets sent to this school, and that just makes things even harder. I love the scene. I cringed at the scene with the teacher playing House of the Rising Sun,
and it goes on and on.
But the punchline is though, do you children know who wrote that song? And no one knows. He goes, the answer would be the Animals. That's right, the Animals. Like, no, that song is like as old as the hills. The Animals did not write that song. But again, you see like just the shitty education that kids are getting in this place.
That's an old blues song written by Black people.
Exactly. And I love how in this and in Alex Wheatle and in some of the others as well, but how much of somebody's life changing comes down to one person telling somebody else, you should read this, and giving them like a book, a pamphlet or whatever. And like how that then sets off somebody's entire sort of journey into understanding their place in a community and what their community is currently going through and how they can fix it. I love these movies so much.
So Matt, where for you does this fall in the whole hierarchy of the,
I think they're all terrific. The only one I have any little problem with is probably, I don't particularly care for the very end, the way that Red, White, and Blue ends. But apart from that, these are all just stunning films. I mean, I know a lot of people have talked about, the convergence of movies and television and how the needs are changing. I love that McQueen's out here basically telling a story any length that he wants to, and putting all of his skill towards it, and putting out these just beautiful movies that all have something to say, but they're all just great, dramatic, wonderful films. And, he's got terrific actors in this. This kid is really, really good. There's moments in this that feel so personal, like the hiding on the bus, right? Like that when he's hiding underneath the bus as the last one to leave, like, that happened to one of the writers. That had to have, right? Nobody, like, that doesn't occur to anyone. Like, you have to have lived through that and done that and then add that story.
Maybe Steve McQueen did that. Maybe he was so ashamed to be on that bus that he hid,
Right. And his story, he's our age. So his schooling wasn't at this time. It was later, after they had kind of closed that system down, but it was still happening. But yeah, I think he just adds such a kind of lived in experiential feel to this that, this one I really, really liked.
A thing that I really like about this one that I think comes through the strongest here, where the others, all of these films are set within an immigrant community, but this one, because so much of it is from Kingsley's point of view, there is something about being the child of immigrants, which I am one, where you grow up in this existence where you feel like you have one foot in the country where you live, but you've still got one that's back in this homeland that you never lived in, but that because the people who raised you did, that it's still part of your life. Like Dave always likes to joke that I was raised in the Spanish embassy, this sort of bubble of Spanishness, and I think this movie really conveys that in a way that I haven't seen a lot in films, where you only know your adopted country, that's and the people you're growing up around, that's where they live, and that's where your life is, but you still have this, your attitudes are shaped and your tastes and all these different things from a country that maybe you've never been to or you've only ever visited, but since it means so much to the people that are shaping you as a human being, you live there too.
Interesting observation. I like that. And the kid's really good in it too. The kid, there's nothing like adorable about his performance. It's just like direct and down to earth and authentic. And anyway, I'm saying 8. It's very good.
9.2. Okay,
Matt.
I have no idea what I remember.
You said 9.
9. Yeah, sure.
Great. Our number's an 8.
I stand by that.
So Small Axe Education is out on Amazon Prime today. All 5 of them live there. You can watch them in any order. Doesn't matter. They're all separate. So
go from longest to shortest or vice versa, whatever you want to do. They're all great. and they all tie into each other, tie in together interestingly, but you can enjoy them all discreetly as well. All right. Well, hey, we have one more episode this year. We're going to come in on Tuesday and talk about the Christmas movies, but just in case, going to throw it out there. Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for watching. Follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay, where we've got tons of exclusive stuff for our subscribers, including our recap of the season finale of The Mandalorian that dropped this morning, and everybody on Twitter is talking about it. Take care of yourselves and each other. This thing's not over. Keep wearing a mask and keep washing your hands, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.